All right, I think we're live, Joey. It's happening.
Good morning.
What's going on? Good morning, dude. How you doing?
Good.
All
Let's
right.
get. Are we gonna get Daniel in here? Where's he at?
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll have to ping him on the discords.
I'm
See what
gonna
happens. Ooh, I
ping
got an
him right
extra
now.
window on here. I wonder what that's for. If I close it, what happens? Nothing. Great. There he is. All right. Let's see if I can loop in the mighty Daniel. There you go. Magic. What's up, dog?
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Doing well. Let me see if I can put your name on there. Yeah, look at that. Magic. We're
There
all
you go.
set. What's up, killers?
Yeah,
What's going on? You got
nice.
your backward Hive Mapper hat on? What do we got here? I had on some call yesterday where everybody was showing me their Hive Mapper gear.
No, my
I'm
head
not wearing
mapper,
them.
yeah, it's being fixed. I have a Selena though.
Oh, you got a
I have a
Solana.
teleport head.
Oh,
I'm gonna teleport head.
I like it. Joey,
Yeah.
any swag you got on today?
Uh, this is Beta Hat Market Research.
Okay. Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever looking to determine if a video game is going to be a hit, they're your folks.
No, no shit.
Yep.
That's
That-
good
Oh,
to know.
Will's here.
Yeah.
What's up, Will? And apparently he loves you. Right on,
yeah.
Will.
Got a fan. Look at that.
Yeah. What's going
Hey.
on, guys? I guess I saw that what is it? Their locations are going through. Oh, we got the demo.
Yeah.
Both of you
Santa
guys
came
got one,
early.
huh?
Yeah.
All the
How
cool
many cars
kids
do you
have
have
one.
that you can keep on throwing these fucking things in these cars?
Yeah.
Not my car. These all. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
nice.
two more coming actually, I think tomorrow or Friday.
Okay.
It's a good gift for friends, I think. Get them excited about demo, and then it's a good way to get them into crypto as well because they need to create like a fun, like a MetaMask, etc. I think it's a cool way to get people involved with crypto.
I like it. Are you going to drop your demo affiliate link? I saw someone. I asked on Twitter the other day, like, "Hey, what projects do you want?" The first two fucking hits are like, "Hey, here's my demo affiliate link. Here's my Hive Mapper affiliate link." I was like, "Well, I get it, guys. It's cool, but that's not really what I was looking for."
I mean, yeah. I mean, people do the same a lot with the grass, right? The grass is another one that's super easy to get started.
Yeah,
So every time someone mentions something, everybody like, here's my affiliate, here's my affiliate link.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah. I
yeah.
should do more of the affiliate stuff. Although I've got this
Oh.
super fun like affiliate program I'm running for a totally different brand. That's like sometimes the affiliate stuff is fun. Like you just figure out the search engine piece and the YouTube piece and how you use all the technology available to build another income stream. But not really kind of what State of the Networks is about. So I don't talk about it too much.
Yeah. I mean, you have a lot of cool things happening, right? There's like entrepreneurial mind and different projects as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's a lot of shit going on. It's
Yeah.
nonstop. So let's see. We saw that hotspot location stuff drop in what is it in the I don't even know how you say it, Joey, in the JS or some tech bullshit. But basically, you're seeing your hotspot locations when you get any signal from a sensor. If I'm understanding it right.
Yep. Yeah. So the how deep down that rabbit hole do we want to go? Basically, the payload from your sensor gets
Mhm.
delivered with a bunch of metadata, and that's going to be like the RSSI, SNR, all the stuff from the hotspot. And it was not including the hotspot location because it
Mhm.
involved, first of all, the packet route, the config service needs to know about the location, all that. So now that stuff's baked in there, it's an initial payload. There's a lot of stuff sort of attached to the payload. You get a whole bunch of rich information through Helium, sort of when you get any message. So that's it's a big unlock for a bunch of folks that were migrating from like the dedicated console where some of that stuff was being handled differently and still being inserted. And it's also a big unlock for anyone that's trying to do like a rough multilateration or location estimation of a device. So
Oh, is
pretty cool thing.
multilat the new term? It was trilateration. Now it's multi. I like it.
It's
Leveling up.
always been multilateration. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see
Trade
if I can rank for multilateration.
Oh yeah.
So
dot
all right.
Uh,
com. Yeah.
yeah. That's all.
Cool. We got Rob Putt
That's all.
on here, so stand by for the F bombs in the chat. He's well known
Nice.
for those.
Bring it.
Jamie, Rock, Derek, what's going on, guys? Good to see you. So, it
Nice.
tells
Yeah.
me though that latitude is long, but latitude is not latitude. Oh, longitude is yeah. I think he's just talking about the words. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, it's lat and LAT and LONG. So 4 letters and 3 letters.
I think so. Yeah, I may not be picking up what he's putting down. So that's the big news in Helium IoT, Helium Mobile. I keep getting pinged to like, oh, you should switch over, and I've just got to switch my phones over from Verizon to whatever this thing was.
Yeah.
So
that won't stop. We won't stop until you're on Helium Mobile, Nick.
Yeah. And I keep meaning to do it. I get off the calls and I'm like, all right, I'm going to put this on my list. And then I forget to put it on my list. And if it's not on my list, it's not fucking getting done. There's so much shit.
One stop until I am on Helium Mobile as well, right? Once they reach like Europe and the rest of the world as well. It has been very exciting to see the growth of the Helium Mobile, like from the outside, right? Because as someone that doesn't live in the US, we just like here sucking our thumbs, but cheering with the team is at the same time. So sorry if I look a little bit low energy because I got a very bad flu the other days. I'm still getting recovery, but I'm still excited about this stuff.
You could do push-ups. We can all just do push-ups together or burpees. Get you fired up.
Burpees. Oh man, no burpees for me.
Let's see. So that's pretty cool. And I think some of the implications of the multilateration being available generally for kind of more normal people is we're going to see some cool dashboards and cool tools being built using all the sensor stuff. So I think that's super rad to see that coming down the pipe. Not here yet.
I mean, bringing it back to this. This thing has GPS in it, and it's going to ping that out.
But wait, there's more.
Into this, but if a device ever starts sort of lying, you actually have like another check, which is to use the asserted locations of all the gateways on the network, and you can determine which ones are legit or not, and all that other fun stuff. But you can actually have an additional layer on top of GPS that will tell you if something is lying to you. And that's really helpful for folks like Demo, for folks like HiveMapper. It's directly how they're using that. So, there's a lot of sort of downstream opportunities, I guess. Applications. Yeah. Sorry, the coffee's super light this morning.
Knock-on effects. Okay. I like the idea of macaroons for gifts. What are they running? They're like $49 or $99. I forget which one. How much they're
$100. I think you get a little break if you buy 2 of them, but we can open this up. Want to take a little peek?
Yeah, dude, let's do it.
Mine is my box is empty because I already put it in my car.
Ooh. Oh, hang on, Joey. Let me make it a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Whoa! All right, we gotta put me over here.
I'll make Daniel small.
Okay. Live unboxing. Yeah, sexy.
Yeah.
All right, we're in.
Okay.
There's the lid.
Very cool. And it feels pretty small.
Hopefully there's no QR codes.
It's super tiny.
Okay.
Stickers all out.
I like it. And there it is.
It looks like the guide basically says download the app and follow those steps.
Okay.
Which is smart.
Yeah, it's super straightforward. You download the app and then it just pairs with the device via Bluetooth in your car. And then after that, it just goes like next, and then connects to like a MetaMask or something. Or you can even create a wallet inside the demo app. I think that's quite important for those who are not into super crypto. And MetaMask is not the most, let's say, friendly wallet as well. So I think it's a good one.
And Fiat MetaMask, I run into issues every single time I touch it. Like when's Solana for demo? We're just I saw some bridge demo tokens the other day. Like hopefully that happens.
That was funny.
This guy plugs straight in the ODB2 port. And then little USB-C plug on the back. Don't know what that's for. And a button. And looks like 2 indicator lights. And if I remember correctly, so I've been talking with Demo for the past 2 years, I think, trying to get this thing out in the world. So this, if they went with what I was seeing earlier on, this is rack hardware inside. So it's effectively what you could build with a WizBlock. And so all of those sort of modules and stuff. So they may have diverged from that a bit, but that was the early prototypes, which is kind of cool for like us, right? Like that's how this thing got created. I actually put a WizBlock in an Uber and sent it to one of their engineers across the Bay because he needed one before taking off on a flight. So it was really silly to have this Uber show up at my place, and I handed him this little chip and be like, goodbye. He drove off with it. But
Hey.
yeah, that's what it takes to get these things out into the world. The demo team cranked on it. Like, this is what product cycles look like in hardware. And this is what a fast product cycle looks like in hardware.
Yeah.
So yeah, major
Those
props
guys are
to them.
sharp and hardworking. So it's like, this is how long it takes to get it done, and that's a good standard.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing to see that process. Like since we met them the first time, I think was last September in New York, and then we met them last April in the first Helium House actually.
Yeah.
And then seeing the progress until now, right, to release this product, and it's like it's a consumer grade product. It's only like $99, means that I think they can start selling in Targets, so I think that's where we're gonna get
That'd be
there.
sweet.
Uh,
Yeah, throw these things on Amazon, like let them rip.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Exactly.
love the packaging. Like, the Bluetooth and Helium logos are like a second sticker. Like, this is V1 right here. Yeah, you can kind of see it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think, Joey, that USB-C is just for debugging, if I remember correctly. They have
makes sense.
two LEDs. One is for the connectivity, and another one's like if you're pairing Bluetooth, etc. And there's one that's for LoRa. So basically, everywhere I've driven here in Lisbon with mine, the LoRa LED is always green. So that's really exciting.
Oh, so it's doing
Badass.
like confirmed uplinks every time. And
Yeah,
getting some
it
feedback.
checks as soon as I turn on my car. It tries to look for a signal, and then it gets green. I think they're gonna do an update soon to also be able to upload the data through your phone, in case
Mhm.
you are in somewhere that doesn't have Helium coverage.
To
And yeah, the cool
Bluetooth.
thing now is that through Bluetooth you can just always have like a firmware update, and then it can keep improving, right? Um, but yeah, amazing product.
Super cool. Yeah, and it feels solid. Like this.
You could kill a man with it. I like it.
Oh yeah, you just yeah. But like, one of the things that kept me from using the old demo device is like it was this AutoPi brick,
Yeah.
and it had a little like tether on it, but I could never figure out like kind of where to put it, and it was always kind of in the way, and it's not something you want in the way near your foot pedals in your car. Like, this thing feels like you pop that thing in there and you never think about it ever again. And
Yeah. I just put mine on the steering column, but
yeah,
badass. If it's working, it's working.
yeah. Yep.
Ripping. Let's see. Rob Putt wants to talk about, was it Wi-Fi map? Does anyone know those guys? Yeah, I know those guys. You want them to start collecting more data rather than just open hotspots. I think when I talk to those guys, they're going to be collecting a lot of data and then making it super easy to use, so that I think their master plan was they'll show you like restaurants and what's open around you, and let's make the map ultra useful. So
Yeah.
Aren't they doing something that's similar to the Helium Wi-Fi deployment, where like they gather up all those SSIDs and throw it in an eSIM or something? Or am I?
maybe, yeah.
I mean,
I know that their core thing is that once you join a Wi-Fi network, you share the credentials with them, so that wherever you go, instead of having to look for the credentials at the coffee shop in Amsterdam, if you're on Wi-Fi
Yeah.
map, you're already on it. So
Right. That's like an old thing. They've done it. Facebook's done it. I got a handy tool.
many ways to skin that cat. But yeah, Neat Group and those guys are hustlers. I like them just because they're getting after it. So
Yeah. I think last time I talked to them, they had a lot of like on their roadmap as well. That it's not just that, right? That's just like the beginning.
Yeah.
They have a lot of data in terms of Wi-Fi, but that's just the beginning. It's actually quite hard to monetize as well, right? On the Wi-Fi password. So they have the other ways. Yeah.
That was always a thing I saw. I was like, who cares about free Wi-Fi? I get free Wi-Fi everywhere I go. I've almost never had a problem. Not that I travel a bunch, but when I travel, it's never been an issue to just go and be like, hey, what's Wi-Fi? Usually they point to the board like it's right there.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I remember finding value in it years ago when I was sort of like a little more nomadic, going to coffee shops, trying to like find interesting places to go work. But now I can tether on my phone if I'm out somewhere. It's pretty easy. But Yeah.
I think that's the difference now. I have unlimited data on my phone as well. I don't
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
worry too much about
No,
that.
and we're getting there. At least in America now, we have with Helium Mobile, we have competitive pricing.
Yeah.
Or it's getting more competitive. Where you go to Europe and it's like, oh, you want 600 gigs? That's 4 cents, or whatever the fucking crazy thing is. Where here it's not
Yeah.
that. So, let's see, Daniel, what's going on what you're doing, the DePIN podcast you guys have, the
Oh
hub,
yeah,
right?
I mean the DePIN Hub.
Yep.
We released actually yesterday a newsletter for those who are not in our newsletter called DePINHub.io.
Yep.
It's a new website that we're trying to focus more. So we're still gonna keep Hotspotty. There's still a lot of like the Hotspotty fleet management. Let's say for Helium, we're not gonna turn that off. It's something that we built through the last few years, and a lot of people are still using. It's been something really interesting. But one thing that I mean we interview and Nick interviewed me on the Deepin State as well a few like a week ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about Deepin Hub. The idea that we have behind this is to build the one platform that kind of englobe the whole Deepin ecosystem. Like we're tracking over 100 Deepin projects, how they interact with each other, the different blockchain projects. But another thing that we did was to track all the news, right? Like news sources, RSS feeds, newsletter for all these different projects, and showing everything in just the same platform. So I would like to invite you guys to check it out, deepinhub.io. Um, yeah, like Robert was saying. Um, and yeah, take a look and then let us know what the feedback that you guys like. We're trying to meet the different Deepin founders. I also started the Deepin Hub podcast where I interview like Deepin founders explaining what they're trying to do. We had one with the grass. We released that last Friday with uh, Alex from Demo.
Yep.
And this Friday, we're going to release one about 𝐒𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸 the brothers from Silencio. Like
Yeah.
it's just a cool space that we realized that as Hotspotty as well, we managed to build such a nice communication and community that we think by providing some sort of website that everybody can look about the whole space is very valuable, and that helps the whole ecosystem, right? Helps Helium grow as well, because then more people are going to go to DePIN Hub for other projects and they'll end up on Helium platform or Hive Mapper. Um, Basically, we're just trying to find ways to help the whole ecosystem grow, and as you guys know, something that we really believe in.
Yeah. Totes. Totes. Anything else going on with Helium, Joey? Or yeah. I said it the right way.
Boy,
Nothing,
I'm
right?
trying to
You
think
guys
how
just
that
like
would have
sitting on
gone
your
wrong.
hands, waiting for something to happen, right?
Right? Yeah. I mean, we've had one, I guess, exciting thing. We finally rolled out a case studies page on helium.com. And so this is starting to highlight some of the variety of things that we see deployed on the IoT network.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's folks from like Heliotics, SenseCore to, cold chain tracking, all that stuff with some of the other folks out there. So that's good. That's a huge step in terms of like starting to really help tell this story of utility on the network. So very exciting to see that. There's a handful of new roamers on the network. So some folks I think there's 2 of them in South Africa. And so different use cases there, but they are running their own LNS and doing all that fun stuff. And they're trying to migrate those devices to leverage Helium. So, it's kind of nice to every week. It's just like a little bit more of this stuff. And it's always nice to know that momentum is happening. Markets are like drawing attention to the network. And so this is a good time to shine in terms of like showing what the utility is and how people are leveraging it. So yes, always exciting. There's personally, I'm trying to like make a big drive on documentation and sort of doing some like internal rallying around LNS operations and things like that. So basically doubling down and saying like, we did really big turns on LNS docs, but like, let's 10x that again, just make this as turnkey as possible and as intuitive as possible, and make it so that we see the next, I think we've probably got 100 or so LNS operators. Like, let's see 1,000, see 10,000. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. I
Yep.
just heard from a giant fleet that's using 1663.
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, you guys should consider Medio Scientific. And I'm laughing because it's
Yeah.
like the 0% chance they're going to do that, because I think 1663 can give way more tech support. But it's like a funny thing to see that there's now competition in LNSs where there wasn't before. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
Totally forgot. I finally shipped this proposal around educational console. So this,
Oh, cool.
dovetails. We talked about this a bit on a previous call, but as like a really quick recap, like we had to shut down Foundation console for new signups
Yep.
because people were doing bad things there
Yep.
with their credit cards or with other people's credit cards.
God bless you.
Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things. Like,
Yep.
it's super frustrating. But through that, like, as a foundation, we really want to stand by this, like, get to know the network. Like, you're going to be sketched out about crypto coming from the IoT side. Like, I want to try this thing without giving my credit card, that whole story.
Yep.
And so what we can do in that capacity is stand up an LNS that does not charge for data transfer and, conversely does not reward hotspots for that data transfer. And that lets somebody come on and try something out for one day, and then it shuts off and sort of blocks that device. And so we feel this is like a really good way to let people experience what building on the Helium network looks like, and just that it is really a native LoRaWAN experience, and your device is going to join because there's so many hotspots, like all that fun stuff. And that also opens a ton of other cool opportunities for education. Like, you can imagine provisioning a device directly inside documentation and, building something as like a step-by-step guide. So I'm excited. Like, I've been talking with Scott Livingston, who does the hard share stuff. Like, there's a ton of really cool things that we can start to bake into that. But that HIP is in discussion right now. I just shipped it this past week. And so I've gotten an initial couple feedback points that I'm really excited, and I already have implemented those. And hopefully we'll get like a HIP discussion channel stood up soon, kind of drive that home. But that's
That's awesome.
It's a cool one. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you thinking?
Yeah.
What's up, Daniel?
Yeah, how are you thinking on like the reset period, like daily, or the device actually 24 hours from the device on board?
Yeah, so initially I had it set for a week, and then I bounced it off Paul Disc91, familiar face. And he's like, oh, you can send a nano tag through the mail in a week. And I was like, oh, shit. Because those are devices that are, driving down in price and all of that. And that you don't want to create a scenario where somebody can just automate generating devices and, sort of stealing from the network. It's a really bad premise to build a business on, but somebody might do it for a week, right?
Yeah.
So we scaled it back to one day, and I think it's going to come down to implementation details as to whether that's a rolling window or sort of nightly reset type thing. Obviously, the nightly reset's going to be the sort of simpler approach, because you create some cron job and you just sort of wipe everyone out. Maybe a big timer in the top of the site that tells you you're about to get nuked.
Awesome.
But once that happens, the join EUIs would go on a list on the LNS side that says don't accept these again, and those wouldn't be submitted to HPR, the config service. So those joins wouldn't go through again. Those payloads wouldn't go through again. The session keys would be pulled for those devices. So effectively all data stops for them. And then after a period of 2 weeks, we would open it up again. So if you had a trial device and you're like, wait, I wanted to try that again, we'd sort of say like, all right, gates are open again. And we're trying to keep it a little bit open-ended, like not pretending to be Magic Oracle about those being the perfect days. So those are sort of an initial set. And then if we realize that needs to be changed, whether tightened up or loosened, we should be able to just kind of go and do that without like further governance. So that's the general idea.
Badass.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's can't have nice things because there's just a couple people that fuck everything up.
Yeah.
I have great
people-
hope that one day we will integrate AI with just predators circling every city, and there's just airstrikes if you fuck with a system. It's like, hey, you like look at your neighbor, they just went up in like a ball of flames. Like, what happened? Like, they're fucking around on DePIN again.
Yeah, he was gaming. Yeah, we found him.
Yeah.
Gamer dead.
Gosh, she was so nice. She's a little old lady. Like, I wouldn't have imagined. It's like, there's some collateral damage in this whole thing.
Yep.
So,
Derek's. Yes, I'm in the Bay Area, but
yeah, that's what he's talking about, Derek. Is this idea that, for a lot of people that are new to IoT, there's not a super easy way other than Medio Scientific to test your stuff on the network. So I like to see how Helium works. And so what Helium is going to do is say, hey, if you want to test this thing for a day and just take your device, whatever that device is, and onboard it and just see how the process is before you decide to go with one of the many console providers, Medio Scientific being at the top, clearly, you can do it through Helium.
What is the website again?
Medioscientific.com.
it is good. I hop in. It tends to be my go-to, like get something set up real quickly. I love recommending people to, jump on there. So
it's been a fun thing. I mean, it's been fun to see, like, it actually might work. For a while, I thought it wasn't going to work. That not enough people were using it. But I get an email every time someone buys credits, and it's like, oh, I'm getting 1 or 2 emails a day. It's never for a huge amount. It's $10, $5, but fuck, that adds up. And that makes it so it's like, oh, I can keep that thing going and maintain it as, both something for me to use and as a public service. So kind of cool.
That's awesome, man.
That's great.
So, yeah, rad. Let's see what else is going on. I saw someone asking about GeoNet and if they're gonna, I don't know, live or die or something. Yeah, I think who knows what's gonna happen with them. The disagreement we had was how much money they were gonna pay us and how much work we were gonna do. So it's like it's kind of a business thing. Nothing crazy there, and we couldn't agree on that, so we stopped working together. But I think that they have just as decent a chance as any other DePIN. Well, hopefully they do well. I don't wish any of the DePIN projects kind of bad vibes unless they're like scammy, fuck off, shitty projects. And I'm seeing a couple of those, and I would say in general, they look like the kind of message is, hey, make tokens for sending your data from someone else's network to us, without providing any additional value. So I think there's something in there where it's like you can dual mine. That seems pretty cool if you're dual mining, HiveMapper and Helium on one device. I think BitHarvest is doing something like this. That's kind of cool. It's like, oh, they're just letting you use your devices in the way that, remember Neil used to talk about this, where he's like, oh, we got a Raspberry Pi. You should be able to put multiple things on there. And I always thought that was a pretty good idea. So that stuff seems like it makes sense to me. But I'm seeing other stuff come up where it's like, hey, you can basically do the Helium mining and you can mine IoT stuff on our network, but we don't actually do anything. We just use Helium miners. So I don't want to throw anyone under the bus by name yet. But yeah, I think a lot of this stuff just like fucking smell it. If it smells like shit, it's probably shit. Don't go fucking stepping at it.
Yeah. Yeah, got to be careful, right? There's so many new DePIN projects coming out that it's always good to do your own research before throwing yourself out there. I think the ones that I'm mostly concerned about is VPN ones, right? Like, was it Boring Protocol? I don't know what happened to them. They seem that they I don't know, they vanished.
I haven't paid attention to them. Have they disappeared, or have I just stopped paying attention to them and they're not actually in my feed, but they still exist?
I mean, when I was working on the DePIN Hub like project list, I started looking at them, and then I think the website was offline, and they I don't know them, so I could be wrong.
Oh, really?
But I'm always a bit concerned about running like an exit node for a VPN because people are going to just use my network to do like nasty things. Maybe your neighbor, the old lady, Nick, she's using my VPN.
Literally opting in as a botnet. Yeah.
And I am the one going to get bombed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, their Twitter dead since May.
Huh.
Um,
Well, they got killed by Mysterium, is what Rob says.
oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
What is the difference between Mysterium as well? Like, how do they protect people from being the exit nodes? I think that's what always my concern. I didn't really go through too much in deep in understanding Mysterium, but that's something that's quite important to understand for everyone that stop thinking about making money and start trying to understand about the technology, right?
Yeah. I think, I mean, this is an interesting question because I get hit all the time, and I think we're having some deep in state interviews coming up with new projects that are doing DVPN as well as decentralized storage. Um, and I look at that stuff and it's like, okay, I can see how it'd be super cool to have a competitor to whatever Amazon for decentralized storage, or like have a cool DVPN. But man, the risk seems super high. And so I'm actually curious, like, how do you assess these other than, my very non-intellectual, like, gut feeling sniff test? Like, these guys look like fucking scammers. Fuck that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for DVPN, sorry, for the storage nodes, it's okay. Like in a way that, I mean, someone, of course, you can be hosting illegal stuff in your computer,
Right.
but it's going to be really hard to know because you're going to get like a small shard, a small piece of that file.
Yep.
And the way, like, for example, storage, the way it works is that imagine you have one picture, this picture is split in like 1,000 pieces, and then you have three or four like replicas around of each piece spread around the network, right? So
Yep.
you could be like storing something illegal, but it's going to be just like a little piece. You don't have the whole thing, and they can never, I think, track back to you. I mean, I don't know, maybe, but it's not something that they can track back to you and say like, okay, you're the one like hosting this illegal file that you're going to be fined. But then I think Derek Derek was asking about what's an exit node, right?
Yep.
And that's the opposite of the VPN. The VPN is actually it's very easy for people to track if you're an exit node. So the way that this works is that whenever you connect to a VPN provider, there are thousands out there. The people when if you access something illegal, the government's going to be able to see, or the government or whoever wants to track what you're trying to access. The person who has the IP address of the VPN is the one that they can track. So if you're running like a Mysterium network and someone's accessing something illegal, and you are the one that doing the host, the cops are gonna go and say that you are actually accessing that website. So the SWAT team can knock on your door if someone's using your node to go to do something illegal, right?
Come and
Um,
knock on my door. I'll be waiting
yes.
for you. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Basically, don't want
yeah,
to touch it.
basically like yeah, just like don't even plan to install it in your computer. Um, but yeah, I think that's more or less the idea of it. So yeah, I mean, I could be wrong the way that Mysterium works, but if that's the way, just like I would stay away.
Yeah. And I always look at this stuff as like a lot of these projects are trying to do something good, and they're just trying to do something that's really difficult for reasons that Helium has seen that some of the location stuff is difficult. Is that there's even though there's a small percentage of scammers or gamers or whatever you want to call them, that small percentage can really fuck the whole thing up for everybody. And so to as kind of inefficient as it is, you've got to put a fair amount of resources against protecting against this small slice of assholes when you could be building a big network.
Reminding
Yeah.
me of that picture of Max's car with all the pollen mappers in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's funny because Max was always open about that. He's like, "Hey, you have a stupid system. Here's how I'm,
Yeah.
gaming it." And they're like, "Ah, that's not gonna, that doesn't matter." And he's like, "You guys are fucking dumb." And then he called it, and yeah,
Yeah, I mean, part of what you're explaining is it's really hard to build these things. And
yeah,
I was talking about the bad apple stuff earlier, but like the shinier side of that is they're pen testing for you, and you get to learn from those things, and you get to improve, and you get to fix things, and
yeah,
that's the angle that we try to take. And so this whole like foundation console freezing signups thing is just basically we did the math and the trade-off between continuing to fix this thing, which we could, and freezing it and letting Medio Scientific take the charge, or some of those others. That's a better opportunity for the network. But generally speaking, like if we see somebody like gaming for hotspots, like we've got several people trying to like keep very close eye on that. The proof of coverage team built an optimized version of uh, location modeling
Mm-hmm.
that is faster than anything out there. Like normally you run a model for RF coverage and it's going to take like a minute to run. They completely rewrote the algorithm and it runs in 100 milliseconds. So you can run that like every hour, every day, like for the entire network, and you have like super fresh data. And then that can also be further improved by like better satellites that are bringing more accurate terrain data down. All this like super cool stuff. So yes, going back to this like evaluating DePIN projects and all of that, like the team has to be agile. They have to be like not ragey when you start pointing out those like holes and gaps and all that other stuff. Like it's hearing the feedback, hearing the opportunities to improve, prioritizing, and like fixing.
Yeah. Totally.
It's rough.
That's a good way to think of it, is like the team not getting ragey when you point out holes. And I've always, not always, I've looked at the community as like a business unit. It's like they're telling you something. They're a really important part of your project. Let's listen to them. And in some cases, when some part breaks, we're dealing with this over in WeatherXM right now, is that everybody kind of sees it breaks, or not everybody, but enough people see it break before the team, because there's 3,000 weather stations and the team's 30 people. They each have a weather station, something like that. So it's like, of course, you're going to find all the edge cases in the 3,000 folks before the 30 people who have properly set up their stations are going to find them. But it's just setting the expectation like, hey, this is the beta part of the project. Like, we're expecting to find the bugs right now. That's what's going down. And it's super helpful when you point it out. So,
yeah, I mean, especially when you're building like super quick in a small team. I remember like when a hotspot, when the Helium network was like booming, right, in 2021, early 2022. Like we didn't have time to do all the tests that we could. So what what happened? Like we release it. If something is bad, people are gonna tell us.
yeah.
Like something was broken. So it's very very important to take care of your community, understand that they're super valuable, right? I think deepin projects that don't understand how valuable the community is, they shouldn't be a deepin project. Like
Yeah.
it's basically the people who are gonna build the network for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Yeah, totally. And I think it's something that folks didn't really understand that well at the beginning. So, just like, it's like, these guys are like deploying hardware. It's not that big of a deal. And then they realize like, it's the community is the third leg of your three-legged stool. And you drop that and you don't have a stool. You're just sitting on the fucking ground with a broken ass.
yeah, exactly.
So let's see. Rob Putt, Danny Boy doesn't want me on his podcast. Nick, no, you did a good job talking, Rob, when you talked at our event in London. I don't think you swore that much. You talked about your minimum level product, and it was well received. I think I've got video of it somewhere, although maybe my camera.
Yeah, man, hit me up on Discord or Telegram. We can talk about it.
And apparently Rob's been paying his mortgage by gaming Helium, but he's willing to tell you how he can't pay his mortgage, Joey, if you want to listen to him.
So, okay.
I shot him a message. We'll get to the bottom of that.
Like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. I feel like I'd see it, but yeah, happy to hear.
Yeah, shit, yeah. Let's see what else is going on in DePIN stuff. We're going to release this on DePIN State, I think today. This guy Ugo from 𝐒𝐻𝐸𝐻, and they're out of Nigeria. They're doing a pretty cool Wi-Fi kind of sharing project and bandwidth sharing project, if I remember right. So it's just cool to see these places all over the world pop up and say like, hey, this is what we're doing. It's a cool idea. Let's go for it. And I'm really curious how all of these different, especially the Wi-Fi projects, intersect. And I wonder if we're going to see aggregation in the next year or two as the kind of whatever the big one wins. That is most likely to be Helium, just because it's the biggest and has plenty of backing, which is really Helium Mobile and Nova Labs.
We talk quite a bit about this idea of convergence, especially in the LoRaWAN space. And I think we always have to remember, as we build out these sort of distinct networks, that your neighbor doesn't care, right? Like they want coverage, they want something to work, they don't want to think about all the details, and so got to reach for that goal as the end output.
Something useful.
If one of them can be big enough to make all of that work, great. But like, we'd probably all be, I think we all are happier now that our cell phones roam across everyone else's network, right? Like
Yep.
that's what sort of convergence
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah, and there's some super cool projects coming down the pipe for Wi-Fi specifically that I'm like, oh, I want to be a part of that project and help those guys and push hard. So excited to maybe make some announcements next week. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Let's see what else is going on. Rob wants to know why he has to pay money to use someone else's technology. I'm not sure, Rob, why that's a question.
That's life.
What else was I going to say? The in DePIN news, I saw that Wingbits got some investment, which is kind of cool to see. It was like one of the first DePIN projects in recent history to get more investment. I think the last time that happened was probably GeoNet when Max and I helped those guys in August. So just the fact that we're seeing DePIN projects get some investment, and those guys got it from non-Web3 VCs, if I remember right.
It's an accelerator. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And have you guys talked to them recently, Daniel? I know I hooked you guys up on.
Yeah. We had a call. We had an intro call. That's very interesting. From Sweden, right? We had an intro call with them. Yeah, Sweden. Super nice guys. I think what they're doing actually it's much bigger than you could imagine just by looking at the project initially, right?
Yeah.
They also recently announced that they're joining Peak as well as a blockchain.
That's right.
So those guys, I think from Peak are also kicking ass, right?
Those guys
they're
hustling.
doing a lot of cool things. On February, I mean they managed to they're closing a very big partnership with Bosch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean I think most of the team is German. I mean they have base in Germany, and now I think a lot of the team is also moving to Portugal. So Lisbon is gonna be the DePIN hub, and then
we're missing out.
Yeah, man, you guys gotta come over more often. We have a red bridge as well, Joey.
Yeah. Feel at home, Joey.
I like
the same thing.
You don't have to twist my arm to come over.
Yeah. What else did I say? So the Wingbits thing was cool. I got my station set up, and then what else are you saying?
Yeah, another thing that I am getting very excited about is following I mean, it's not necessarily like a location dependent project, but it's all the eGPU ones, like the decentralized GPU processing project as well, like IONET. They had a massive announcement on Breakpoint, and then also there's another one that I've been talking. It's called Nosana. We're actually going to have an AMA tomorrow. For those who wants to can check a hotspot on Twitter. I don't remember the time. I think it's like in the morning for you guys. We're going to be talking about like the decentralized GPU for stable diffusion, training AI, all that cool stuff. They just started like a test net yesterday. So it's another thing that's going to be quite interesting as well. Yeah.
Badass.
A lot of cool stuff.
This is different than your 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸 crusade, right? You're super psyched on that last week, right?
My 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸 crusade. Yeah, no, it's 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸 is a different project. I think it's super interesting. For those who don't know, it's basically they forked or like cloned the idea of Tor.
Yep.
And then there's a lot of work to be done still, but the idea is that you'll be able to have a secure browsing. And then they still have, of course, the problem with the exit node that we were talking before. But the idea is that they don't need to have too many exit nodes. Exit nodes usually it's run by people who know what they're doing. But for you to help the network, you have a relay node. It's called. It's kind of like a middle jump. So you start in the entry node and you have the exit node, and between these two nodes, you have a lot of jumps that your data do. Yep. And each time you jump from one node to another, it re-encrypts all the data. So it gets really, really hard from exit node to get to the entry node. But doing that on the DePIN level, I mean, we can have like a whole episode about 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸. I can be talking about this thing for a long time because I've been working with Tor in the past. I run nodes and then try to understand how things work, and it's super interesting. And then when I saw that 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸 was doing, it's like, okay, there's something really big here as well. But yeah, I think next year it's going to be the year that 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐸 is going to grow a lot.
Cool. Yeah, well, maybe we'll do a co episode on that, or have you come on this one and talk about that. That'd be super cool.
Yeah, man. Don't get me started.
We'll fire it up. A mobile working group, I think, had their vote. I think most of the folks who I was voting for got in. I think the only one I voted for didn't get in or wanted to get in was Kevin, but everyone else did fine. So it's kind of cool just to see like was like peaceful transition of power from one group to the next, even though it seemed pretty stable. So just generally kind of cool to see as these governance things mature a little bit, and I expect that it won't be perfect every time, and it will get better and better every time with this. But.
I know Noah was cranking on the modular governance stuff. This is sort of a platform that we've built for the broader Solana ecosystem, but doing multiple choice voting like that was a little bit of a curveball for him, and he nailed it. It looks like so.
He seems like a sharp guy when I've talked to him. He seems like
very sharp.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's gonna be okay. Hey, I thought you'd round this out, and we're not super close to the end. We're 3/4 of the way through, but Joey and I talked about this last time. Daniel, I don't know if you were on as well. Was just doing a couple PSAs, even though it sounds boring and repetitive, about the things that you should do if you're getting into the DePIN or crypto ecosystem, and or if you're already in and you've just kind of put them off. And so maybe we end up with a list of these, but I wanted to start working on that now. Number one, like the normal thing, don't share your 12 words with anyone, or your 24 words, or whatever your fucking secrets are. Don't share them. Yep.
Get a hardware wallet.
Get a hardware wallet. Oh, I should write these down so we have it every time.
Nice thing with the hardware wallet is it makes it even harder to share your 12 words. So,
I mean, if you have the old Tangem, like there's this like Tangem wallet here, for example, it's just like a card, and you don't even have access to the seed phrase. So you can't even give it if you try.
Along the lines of the 12 words, admins will never DM you for help or to help. Unfortunately, saw somebody fall victim to that this past weekend. And it looked like helium.com, and it said, select which wallet you're using, and like, was not able to automatically connect. Please enter your 12 words. It looked, if you didn't know, it looks pretty legit. And they lost all their hotspots in HNT. So,
do you think we can talk to Verso about that? Because I see a lot of people actually, people on hot, like I can even imagine on the Helium Discord, even in our Discord, people ask for help. There's like a swarm of bots or like scammers that ask them, and they go to like a helium-solana.verso.com .dev or something like that. And these people, thanks man. And these people really go ahead and they just enter the seed phrase, right? I think I'm not blaming the people who enter the seed phrase, but it's a lack of education or try to understand how these things work.
I've been there though. Yeah. I've been there. Painful. I've lost a lot of money, and I think it's one of those things like you just have to hear it over and over, and then maybe we do some kind of case studies or stories, just so people kind of see it before it happens. Because if I can save anyone from going through that super shitty feeling, sitting at this desk and realize I just lost fucking $45,000 in ETH because I was just missed a goddamn couple queues. That was a rotten night. I'd love to stop anyone else from having that same thing. So
no, exactly. I mean, I've talking to a lot of people on our Discord that once you realize that what you did, like you think like imagine I deployed 50 hotspots around Lisbon or 60 whatever, climbed roofs, and in a second everything's gone.
Yep.
Right, like all your money. So a lot of people they get disencouraged about Helium, about crypto, about DePIN because of that, and they never want to go back again. They just get these things are full of scammers. I don't want to touch it again. And that's completely the opposite what we're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah, no, that burned me pretty good for sure. I took a step back.
Yeah. So I mean that's something that we're trying with DePIN Hub. Yeah.
On that note, I actually need to ping Rob and see if the Nebra firmware, I think he would know, will work on SenseCap M1 gateways to convert them to data only, because we don't want to let those scammers keep reaping proof of coverage from these deployed gateways.
Okay.
That's a good one. Is there a way for people to report somehow when their hotspot gets hacked? I mean,
it could be a neat feature for the Nebra firmware. Just say like, all right, I give up on my ECC chip, spin me a new key, and I'll take data only rewards or something. And it would basically kill the old NFT and all that other stuff. It would be a dead end, but it would still, it's going to transfer data regardless of who owns it. But if you've got like a deployment and you're just like really, salty about somebody having stole your hotspot, you could always convert it over to data only. Even
So it's
just
at least useful.
telling it to drop the key and not even onboarding it, it'll still transfer data as long as the region is defined. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
But
it's
see,
a bit
Adam, James,
trickier.
this is
Yeah.
probably a good one. Is we just like it seems super obvious to us, but we forget that people are new to this.
This actually is a topic I kind of wanted to cover.
Okay.
And it's just talking about the importance of explorers in Helium in the broader DePIN space.
Okay.
And it's completely possible for the average person to jump on ETH Explorers or Polygon Scan or any of these other things, Solana Explorer, and make any heads or tails of what's going on there. The old Helium Explorer did like a really nice job of sort of giving you a sort of chain of understanding of how these addresses were connected. But these new ones, like the blockchains, they're just too big to even try. And that's where, like Hotspotty, Relay, Moken, Helium Geek in the Helium ecosystem provide this huge value in ingesting all of that data, whether it's on-chain or off-chain data through the oracles, and giving you actionable insights on it. The Helium network tries to do a little bit around like giving you a sense of whether it's online or offline based on activity over the past 30 days. But you can jump into one of these explorers in the ecosystem and they're going to provide you a whole lot more value. I feel like Daniel should just like give a sense of the ideology around that, but that's very much his domain.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think kudos to everyone building the Explorer. I think everybody's doing a really good job, and it's not easy. I think building an Explorer on the Helium ecosystem nowadays it's even harder than before because we need to work with a lot of off-chain data, like on-chain data. Like understanding how to get a lot of data and then become a map as well, and then how to connect with things. How can you be able to find ways to visualize what's happening in the network? That's just a bunch of numbers, right? So I think everybody who's doing the Moken guys, the Relay guys, everybody's doing a really, really cool job on this. And on DePIN in general, right? Like because a lot of those projects are location dependent, understanding where the devices are, the sensors. I mean, Joey did a freaking amazing job when he did the mappers project, right? Be able to like you have a little mapper and you walk around and you can see all the hotspots that pick up your signal. The way that you manage to enable people to visualize and see where there's actually LoRa coverage, yeah, it's an amazing job.
I got big plans for mappers too. It's not going anywhere.
Still, huh?
Still,
nice.
It's still one of the best insights we get into seeing how the Helium network is doing out in the real world without, being hypothetical about it.
Yeah.
You can't beat that on the ground survey.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some nerd talk in the chat about GPG or PGP or et cetera, et cetera. I think just it's probably worth it just to Google a couple things about how you might encrypt your seed phrase. There's a bunch of different ways of doing it. You can buy. I would just like to stick on kind of basic stuff because I know that for the nerds, for the gray hats and the Rob Putts, like it's pretty easy to do this. But for folks who are super new to this and they somehow catch the last 10 minutes of an hour-long show, I like them to see like, hey, you can buy a ledger, you can buy what's the other one?
Ledger, Tangem, Tracer.
There's like a bunch of different hardware wallets you can buy. You put your seed phrase in there, and that's probably a reasonably safe way to do it. You can also write your seed phrase down on a piece of paper. That's not the safest way to do it, but it's one way, and then hide that piece of paper somewhere. You can hammer it into metal. There's cheap and expensive ways of doing that. But you basically want to put it in a place where no one's going to find it. You know where it is. It's going to survive. And that's kind of the very first step that you should be doing with any wallet you have.
Yeah. I mean, some people, they put their seed phrase in the bank.
Yep.
A bank vault.
Yeah. That's a safe way to go. One thing that people always fall a little bit victim to is screenshotting it and having it in iCloud or Google Drive or whatever, which, feels super safe until you get scammed on that front, which there's a bunch of those out there. And the first thing they're going to do is group seed keys.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. We should probably have like a do not list. Like, do not fucking screenshot your.
Do never give anyone your seed phrase.
And don't, it's also worth noting, like, don't tell people how you've stored your seed phrase. You're like, oh, it's on a stamped sheet of metal. All right, when I break into your house, I'm looking for the stamped sheet of metal. I'm looking for the ledger. I'm looking for whatever.
Yeah.
And that's part of why anytime you talk about this thing, nobody's going to tell you what exactly to do, because you have to kind of DYOR, do your own research, figure out what's best for you, and figure out how you can make sure that that's going to like work in the long run.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or you can do like me. I have all the hardware wallets available because I wanted to learn. And then if you want to hack my things, you need to hack all of them because you never know which one. And actually,
or
it's not
just
here.
take all of your tokens, lock them up for like 4 years, and then if somebody breaks in, they'll be like, "Oh, what's all this?" And they'll just forget about it, and then you're fine 4 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just you need to find a way to educate people to understand how serious it is to have your seed phrase leaked, right? Like giving to anyone, it's just a no.
It's
I just
going to the bank, taking all of your money and setting it on the sidewalk and hoping that it's
and there's nothing
okay.
you can do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, I mean,
think
I'll tell you, I think I might have talked about this. I had a table saw I was selling a while ago. Did I tell this story here? I forget. And I just didn't have time. A buddy had given me he was moving out. He'd given me his brand new table saw. I had this old one that my dad had bought when I was a kid. So it's 30 or 40 years old. Still worked, but I was like, oh, I got this new one. It's fancier. It's certainly smaller and easier to do. How do I get rid of the old one? So I drugged the old one, his old Craftsman table saw, out to the street. And I put a little note on it. Said, hey, if you take this, just slide $20 under the garage door. And then I took off because I just didn't have time to fuck with it. And as much as I liked it for sentimental value, I just didn't have the time. And I came back like 2 hours later, table saw is gone. I'm like, let's see what happens. Open up the garage door. There's $20. Like, people are mostly good. So it's pretty fucking rad. You just have to be careful of the really small amount of people who are pretty fucking rotten. So
yeah, no, exactly.
And
And
the unfortunate thing is that the internet's the multiplier in that effect. Like, that bad person will be out there. Fortunately, your neighbor is not one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whoever took that table saw. I always hope like I'll be walking around the neighborhood one day and look in someone's garage and they're making something that's like, badass.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
let's love that.
So,
I mean, I gotta be like grateful for the internet as well, right? Like I got help from so many people throughout my time learning to do anything. I also try to help people.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess you just really need to have your spider sense on, at least when you're doing crypto stuff, especially, right?
I'll put one more thing on there before we sign off, which I think is a generally good idea, is when you're doing stuff in crypto, do not rush. That's how I lost everything that I had, or that's how I lost a giant chunk of what I had, was I was just rushing, and it's tempting and it's easy to rush, right? Because I got super excited. You get super excited about anything, and because there's like so many interesting things. Remember, it must have been like winter of 2021. It's like, oh, you could bridge to, do you remember Avalanche? And then Avalanche would go somewhere else and you'd bridge over to something else and do this. And it was like 10,000% return. Like, it gets exciting and you feel like you're missing out. And I think that should be when you feel like you're missing out, when you're getting the FOMO, that's when you should pump the brakes and just be like, I'm not going to lose that much if I take an extra 5 minutes, take a breath of fresh air, ask myself what I'm doing, and come back to it. That will, hopefully save you a bunch of money that you don't need to otherwise lose.
Yes, exactly. I mean, what I'm doing right now, for example, on my Twitter, half of my Twitter is people telling how they can predict the next airdrop. And that's what I'm just like banning everybody, because I don't want to see that, because it's the same kind of thing, right? It's kind of like almost like a scam as well.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. I will see you guys next week. I think we're at the end of this thing. I'm super psyched to see what comes down the pipe. I know for myself, for Gristleking, and for 𝐒𝐩𝐸𝐻, we got some rad stuff coming down. Cool. Joey, the thing we talked about last week, is in basically the same state because I wiped it clean after I realized there was a problem, so I got to start over on it. But Secret Project, 10,019 is still going.
Nice.
But yeah, we'll see what happens next week. And thanks, guys, for coming on.
Thanks, man. That was a pleasure.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Good seeing you.